Have you ever walked into a home that looked like a dream but somehow felt off? Not haunted, not messy, just off. Like the beauty was so carefully placed, it left no space for you to breathe. The kind of home where even a sneeze feels like a crime. It's the kind of place where the throw pillows are always fluffed, the floor is spotless, and everything sits perfectly at a 90-degree angle. And yet, the owners can't seem to keep money. Luck feels distant, and something always seems stuck. If this kind of wisdom speaks to you, thank you for being here. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment below. It helps YouTube know you're part of this quiet, mindful shift. Today, we're diving into a silent trap that fools even the most stylish homes. This isn't about clutter. This isn't about broken mirrors or leaking faucets. This is about the illusion of perfection. The way beauty, when misused, can turn into a wall that keeps money out. Because in Feng Shui, what looks good doesn't always feel good. We'll explore 5 real Feng Shui mistakes that happen in beautiful homes. Mistakes that steal your energy, block your luck, and quietly drain your money flow, no matter how much effort you've put in. These aren't abstract theories. These are things I've seen in real homes, from real people who couldn't understand why success never stayed long. Even though their home looked like a Pinterest board, you might recognize someone you know. You might recognize yourself. Either way, we're about to unmask 5 hidden Feng Shui traps that quietly sabotage even the prettiest homes. Let's begin. Madison had an eye for color. A true gift. The kind of woman who could walk into a dusty consignment shop, pull a chipped blue vase from the back shelf, and know exactly where it should sit in your living room. Her home was featured in 2 online design blogs. It had soft linen curtains that danced with every breeze. It had eucalyptus in the shower and dried orange slices in the kitchen bowl. But when her cousin Grace came to visit with her toddler, Madison tensed up like someone had just thrown wine on her white couch. "Shoes off, please. Don't touch that. Maybe he shouldn't eat on the velvet stool." The house was gorgeous, but it wasn't alive. And deep down, Madison knew it. When a space becomes too curated, too perfect, too untouchable, it stops being a container for life. In Feng Shui, qi needs to swirl. It needs bumps, soft flow, interruptions, motion. A home should feel like it breathes with you. But Madison's space didn't breathe. It posed. Everything was stiff, like holding in a breath. There was no room for playful movement. No space to drop a coat, laugh too loud, or spill tea without apology. The result? Energy blocked. Flow trapped in symmetry. Beauty became a barrier. Madison wasn't shallow. She was scared. Scared of being overlooked. Scared of mess. Scared that if things weren't beautiful, she wouldn't be either. Her childhood was full of chaos. A loud house. Unpredictable parents. Hand-me-downs. Too many stains on the carpet. So when she grew up, she made beauty her armor. Her home was her gallery. A place where no one could bring chaos in. Not even joy. Not even herself. People like Madison often value order not for aesthetics, but for safety. And sometimes, that safety chokes out life. Imagine a dining room that looks like a showroom. Everything centered, everything matching. Candles untouched, napkins folded. But no one ever eats there. That's what Madison's home became. Like a wedding cake, you're not allowed to cut. Look sweet. tastes like nothing. She once overheard a woman at a local farmer's market say something that stuck. "My home used to look like a catalog. Now it looks like me. And I finally sleep better." Madison laughed at the time, but it haunted her later. She Googled Feng Shui that night at 2 a.m. Read a short post on how perfect symmetry in Feng Shui can stop energy from moving. How beauty, when overdone, becomes static. And static spaces attract stuck lives. The next morning, she took down the dried orange slices, put away half the matching pillows. She added a mismatched mug her niece made, replaced the centerpiece with a half-read book and some fresh flowers from a neighbor's yard. It didn't match, but it moved her. She sat on the floor with her coffee for the first time in years, and the house didn't flinch. Her cousin came over again. The toddler spilled juice. Madison handed her a towel and didn't even blink. She still fluffs the pillows, still lights the fancy candle. But now, sometimes, she leaves the dishes in the sink overnight, just to remind herself she's living. Every Sunday morning, Tyler made coffee and did his scroll check. He'd browse Instagram for inspiration: velvet couches, concrete counters, brass fixtures, and pops of eucalyptus everywhere. It was his ritual. Then he'd walk into his own apartment and rearrange something. A new angle for the lamp, a better throw blanket placement, maybe a touch of pampas grass next to his salt lamp. His apartment was cool, aesthetic, minimal. He'd even won a small feature in a local design zine. But lately, he'd been waking up exhausted. Nothing medical. No drama. Just tired. Work was dragging. Inspiration felt thin. He blamed it on burnout. But his body kept whispering, "It's not just your schedule, it's your space." There's a quiet trap in designing for the camera instead of for your chi. When every corner of a home is staged for aesthetics, you start decorating for the viewer, not the dweller. And in Feng Shui, the space responds to how it's lived in, not how it looks. Tyler's space was styled to impress, but the energy inside was hollow. His perfect wall shelf didn't hold anything personal, just curated objects with no stories. His couch faced nothing, just a wall where a screen used to be. He stopped watching movies because the wires looked messy. His home wasn't supporting him. It was performing. The chi had nowhere to land. No warmth. No memory. No anchor. Like a model house with no one truly home. Tyler was the kind of guy who wanted things to look right, because deep down he wasn't sure he was. He grew up in a family where emotions were too loud, too messy. His dad called him too sensitive. So Tyler learned to hide that. Beauty became his armor. Order became his silence. And online approval? That became his proof that he was doing okay. But the more he styled for likes, the less he felt like himself. The more symmetrical his space became, the more off balance his energy got. People like Tyler often design homes to escape their feelings, not to support them. Think of a fancy hotel lobby. Gorgeous, chic, stylish, but you'd never nap on the couch or leave your shoes by the door. That's what Tyler built. A lobby instead of a landing. A showroom instead of a sanctuary. One night, while editing late, Tyler overheard a line from a podcast playing in the background. If your space doesn't hold your memories, it can't hold your future either. He paused. Rewound. Listened again. It hit hard. He realized he hadn't printed a single personal photo in over 2 years. His bookshelf held design books none of which he'd ever read. Even his cozy blanket had never been used. He remembered something his aunt once said at Thanksgiving. "Honey, don't just decorate for others, make it yours. Make it soft enough for you to cry in." He never forgot that. Just buried it under filters. That weekend, Tyler made one change. He pulled down a sleek black and white poster and replaced it with a Polaroid collage of his friends. Not symmetrical, not styled, but it made him smile. He moved his reading chair back to the window, even if it threw off the balance of the room. He bought a warm lamp instead of his LED strip lights. He didn't post the changes, didn't tell anyone, but he slept better that week. And that meant more than likes. A friend dropped by the next Friday night. Saturday on the floor. Put their drink on the rug. And Tyler didn't flinch. He just laughed and said, "It's okay. It's not a showroom anymore. It's just my place." And somehow, everything finally fit. Denise loved balance. Even her spice rack was alphabetized. Every picture frame in her house was evenly spaced, centered, leveled. She used a measuring tape to hang wall art, plumped the couch cushions with the precision of a NASA engineer. Her living room looked like it belonged on the cover of Modern Order. Even the dog bed was centered under the window, with a matching throw blanket folded just so. Friends called it calming. Denise called it control. Because when everything was in its place, her mind could finally breathe. But lately, even with all that balance, she'd been waking up in the middle of the night. No noise, no nightmare, just a sense that something was stuck. In Feng Shui, symmetry is seductive. It looks clean, safe, structured, but too much symmetry traps energy. Qi doesn't move well in spaces that don't surprise it. It needs contrast, warmth, texture, odd numbers, movement. Denise's home didn't allow for that. 2 candles, 2 pillows, 2 lamps, 2 of everything. Her space mirrored itself so tightly that energy had no room to flow freely. It bounced back, got caught, staled. A home shouldn't feel like a graph. But Denise had turned hers into a grid. Growing up, Denise didn't get to control much. Her parents divorced when she was 8. She bounced between houses, schools, bedtimes. Everything felt unpredictable. So as an adult, she made order her comfort, her safety net. She didn't chase chaos. She crushed it under rules and rulers. People like Denise often think they're creating calm. But what they're really creating is stiffness. A space where nothing can go wrong. Because nothing really moves. That kind of stillness feels safe at first. But eventually, it smothers. Imagine walking into a bakery. Everything's in perfect rows. Each cookie identical. Each loaf the same size. But there's no smell of cinnamon. No warmth. No music playing. No crumbs. That's what Denise's home became. Pretty, predictable, and emotionally tasteless. Denise didn't know any of this. Not until one of her students brought her a lopsided clay mug they'd made in art class. It was crooked, painted 3 different colors, wobbled when she placed it on the table. She smiled, of course, but almost didn't keep it. Then the student said, "I made it weird on purpose, like, so it doesn't get boring." That night, Denise sat with the mug in her perfectly aligned living room. And for the first time in years, she felt something shift. Not in the room. In her. She Googled Feng Shui for symmetry, Found a short article about how energetic repetition can create emotional fatigue. And it hit her. She wasn't tired from teaching. She was tired of maintaining perfection. The next weekend, she moved one lamp. Then she took down the perfectly matched artwork above her bed and replaced it with a single canvas her sister had painted. She let the pillows fall, didn't recenter the rug, left the clay mug on the coffee table, off to the side, not in the middle. The room didn't fall apart. She didn't either. Now, when friends come over, they still compliment her place. But lately someone always says, "It feels more you now." And Denise smiles, sips tea from her crooked mug, and says, "Turns out, imperfection is great feng shui." By the way, if this is speaking to you so far, feel free to subscribe. We share 2 new videos every day about feng shui tips, energy blocks, and how small changes can unlock bigger luck. Your space deserves to flow, and so do you. Brenda's living room was stunning. Warm terracotta walls, accent chairs in navy velvet, bookshelf layered with gold frames and desert-scented candles. It looked like a Southwestern postcard, curated by someone with taste, time, and a serious thing for Pinterest. Visitors loved it. Her friends called it elevated desert chic. But Brenda didn't feel good in it. Every time she walked in, her chest got tight, like she was walking into a photo, not a home. She'd sit on her couch, try to read, try to rest, but always felt like her nervous system was still on shift at the ER. Something was wrong. And it wasn't just her age. It was the room. In Feng Shui, color is energy. It's not just decoration. It's medicine or poison. Brenda had designed her space with magazine logic. Bold tones make a statement. Gold brings glam. Warm walls feel cozy. But energetically, her choices clashed. Terracotta is heavy earth. Navy is deep water. Gold brings strong metal energy. All powerful on their own. But in Brenda's layout, they fought for attention. No softness. No space to exhale. Instead of balance, she built a battlefield. The room looked rich, but felt overworked. Like a beautiful meal that's oversalted. Brenda had spent 35 years in hospitals. White lights, cold walls, constant motion. She wanted her retirement space to feel opposite. Alive, textured, colorful. But she confused stimulation with healing. And stimulation was what her body had endured for decades. What she really needed was restoration. But Brenda didn't know how to rest. She only knew how to manage. People like Brenda, strong women, caregivers, overachievers, often design spaces to look vibrant because they don't yet know how to feel safe in quiet. And so, their homes become noise in disguise. Think of a spa. Now imagine that spa painted in fire engine red with zebra-striped rugs and glitter curtains. Stylish? Maybe. But would you want a massage in there? Would your body soften? Or would it brace for impact? That's what Brenda accidentally built. A room that looked impressive, but made her body stay alert. Brenda's realization came on a random Thursday when she went to her friend's house for book club. The room was pale sage green. White curtains. A single wooden bowl of clementines on the table. No decor drama. Just ease. And Brenda felt it immediately. Her shoulders dropped. Her breath deepened. She didn't say anything at the time. But later that night, while folding laundry, she whispered to herself, I don't think I've ever made a room that loves me back. The next morning, she Googled Feng Shui color fatigue. Found an article about how too many dominant elements can overwhelm the body's qi. The sentence that stayed with her: "Your home should support your nervous system, not challenge it." She read it twice, then walked into her living room and suddenly saw it, not as a design win, but as an energetic mismatch. She didn't call a decorator. She didn't repaint the whole house. She just began softening. Swapped the navy chairs for cream slipcovers. Moved the gold frames to a hallway. Let the terracotta walls breathe with neutral accents: beige, white, light wood. She added a soft throw from her daughter, a plant she'd been scared to keep alive, and one simple watercolor she painted herself during chemo. It wasn't about style anymore. It was about exhale. Now, Brenda drinks her morning tea by the window, wrapped in that soft throw. Her dog naps in the spot the velvet chair used to be. And whenever guests compliment her home, she just laughs and says, "It's not Instagram pretty, but my nervous system gives it 5 stars." Glenn was a proud man. Not loud, not flashy, just proud. His home was spotless, not in a sterile way, in a dignified, everything in its place kind of way. The floors were always swept. The fireplace mantel was always dust-free. Even the garage looked like a catalog. Tools lined up by size. Extension cords rolled tighter than his old fire hoses. But there was one room nobody entered. The guest room. Door always closed. Curtains always drawn. And if someone asked, Glenn would chuckle. "Ah, it's just where I toss extra stuff, my little chaos corner." Except it wasn't little. And it wasn't just stuff. It was the only place in his beautiful home where energy had no name, no home, no breath. In Feng Shui, beauty means very little. If the energy is hiding behind closed doors, when one part of the home is sealed off, even a small room, a closet, a cabinet, it becomes a pocket of trapped qi. And trapped qi is like a stagnant pond. Still, heavy, slowly decaying. Glenn's guest room held everything that didn't fit the picture. Unopened mail. Old uniforms. Broken Christmas lights. Half a treadmill. Stacks of framed photos he never hung. In trying to protect his home's beauty, he created a hidden block. A stuck corner. And in Feng Shui, one stuck corner can slow the flow of wealth, luck, and energy through the entire space. Glenn had been through a lot. 30 years of service. A divorce. 2 kids he only saw on holidays. Keeping his home clean was the one thing he could control. A way to hold on to dignity, to routine, to something that didn't fall apart. But letting mess hide behind a door? That wasn't laziness. It was grief. It was pain that didn't match the rest of the decor. People like Glenn don't avoid cleaning. They avoid remembering. And sometimes the only place those memories can sit is in a guest room with the lights off. Think of a fancy restaurant with a hidden kitchen. The dining room is polished. Plates are spotless. But behind the kitchen door, grease, clatter, broken machines, tension. You don't see it, but you feel it. The service slows down. The food's off. Something just isn't right. That's Glenn's house. Beautiful outside. Energetically backed up inside. The shift came one Sunday, when Glenn's granddaughter was visiting. She ran down the hall, pushed open the guest room door, and said loudly, "Grandpa, why is this room sad?" Glenn froze. Later that night, he stood in the doorway for a long time. The dust, the forgotten items. It was like a time capsule of things he never processed. He remembered something his buddy once said at a grief support group. If you don't deal with it, your house will. And it'll store it somewhere your luck can't reach. He didn't get it at the time. Now he did. He didn't Marie Kondo the whole room. Didn't need to. He started slow. Opened the curtains. Let the light in. Moved the treadmill out. Hung 2 of the framed photos. One of his old crew, and one of him fishing with his son. Vacuumed. He didn't throw everything away, but he stopped pretending it wasn't there. He gave the room a name again. Memory room. And somehow, it felt lighter. A month later, his granddaughter came back. Peeped in the guest room. Smiled. Hey, Grandpa, the room's happy now. Glenn smiled too. Looked around his house. Nothing had changed. And everything had. Sometimes, the most beautiful homes are the ones carrying the deepest silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that holds its breath. We fill our spaces with style, but forget to ask, does it feel safe? Does it feel like us? Does it move when we move? Feng Shui isn't just about fixing what's ugly. It's about healing what's hidden. And sometimes, the most powerful shift comes when we stop decorating for others and start living for ourselves. Your home doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to feel like it's yours. The truth is, Feng Shui isn't about chasing beauty. It's about creating space for energy to breathe, for money to land, for luck to move, for peace to stay. If this video made you pause, or helped you see your space with new eyes, go ahead and like it. Subscribe for more. Comment below with what resonated most with you, because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you're wondering where to go next, watch our video on the bedroom Feng Shui mistakes that quietly drain your energy at night. It's one of our most loved episodes, and it goes hand in hand with everything we've shared today. We share 2 new videos every day, so whenever you're ready to shift the energy in your life, we'll be right here. Your space speaks. Wisdom listens.